What's up, guys? Welcome back. If you've been watching our QB, running back, wide receiver rankings, we are back with our defensive rankings. So defense is only on DraftKings. So if you play FanDuel, you don't have the defense to worry about. All you have to worry about is your tight end / wide receiver if you're going to take, or your flex. So that's what we're looking at. I definitely am. It depends. This video won't be very long considering there's 8 defenses to look at, and that's about it. So we're only looking at DraftKings here. So like before, all of the other rankings, QB, running back, wide receivers will be at the end of this video, so go check those out. Go check out the QB one, especially for everyone who watches it, and thumbs up. If we get 50 likes on that video, I'm going to throw out a FanDuel and DraftKings GPP lineup for you guys. So it'll be in the description, or it'll be in the pinned comment section on the QB video. So definitely go check that out. Again, guys, if you are wanting to sign up, you can. We're doing the yearly special for the rest of the season for $50 if you email me right now. If you get it, it'll be, I say through this weekend, but by Sunday, you can get the entire XFL season, $50, $25 off. Email me, fantasyteamadvisors@gmail.com. We'll get you set up there. So looking at the defensive rankings, I don't know if it'll come as a shock, but looking at this, this is who we have. We've got DC against LA. LA's not that good. DC is currently right now a 7.5 point spread there. With a total of 18.75 fantasy point, or 18.75 points. Most of those are probably going to come from DC. Looking at how they've done since only on DraftKings, DC is actually second highest. They're $500 cheaper than the Roughnecks on DraftKings. So DC here, coming off 25 fantasy points last week and 22 in week 1. I like that. St. Louis, the Battlehawks, they are $3,700 on DraftKings because they're going up against New York. New York, they're bad, especially if it's McGloin. It depends on who the QB is, but last week Seattle, 0 fantasy points, but they were going up against Houston. Week 1, Dallas, 10 fantasy points. So getting 0, this kind of went to our, this kind of is working for us, not against us, because Houston put up enough points to make sure Seattle got 0 fantasy points, and now they get one of the best matchups against New York. So I absolutely love them. St. Louis is actually a 7-point favorite here with a total of 17.75. Houston, they're the highest ranked on DraftKings by 500, but Tampa Bay is the worst team in the league. They give up the most amount of fantasy points on average in 2 weeks, so whatever. On average, 2 defenses. Last week against St. Louis, they got 7 fantasy points. Week 1, they got 12 fantasy points. Number 4 is Dallas against Seattle. Dallas is only a 4.5 point favorite, but the total is 20.25. So we've got going on Dallas. Let's see. They are ranked 3rd at 4,200, but Seattle gives up the second most fantasy points there. Week 2 against LA, Dallas defense got 7 fantasy points. Week 1 against St. Louis, they got 5 fantasy points. Number 5 is the Guardians against St. Louis. I'm not 100% sure that I like this one, but St. Louis, like I said, 7-point favorites with a 24.75 24.75 total for the Guardians there. Looking at this, last week against DC, they got 2 fantasy points. Against Tampa Bay, they got 24 fantasy points. Number 6 is Seattle Dragons, 3,300. Last week, they got 23 fantasy points against Tampa Bay. Like I said, if you take a defense against Tampa Bay, probably doing pretty good. And then against DC week 1, they got 1 fantasy point. Tampa Bay Vipers, terrible, 2,800. They're going up against the number 1 offense against defenses. Last week, Tampa Bay got 14 fantasy points against Seattle. Week 1, 1 fantasy points against New York. And New York is trash. Bad. And then number 8, LA Wildcats against DC. Not liking this at all. But They're 3,000 on DraftKings. With last week, they got 8 fantasy points against Dallas. Week 1 against Houston, -1 fantasy points. So as you can see, those are the rankings. And honestly, I kind of like St. Louis this week, and then Houston is probably where I go. DC, you'd probably be pretty safe if you're playing cash, but I'm playing GPPs. I'm looking at St. Louis. I'm looking at Houston. I'm looking at other places there when we're building our lineup. So that's really all I've got in this video, guys. There's not much to go over in the defenses, but make sure you go check out all the other ones I'll have posted here. So let me know how you guys have done the past 2 weeks on XFL. Would love to hear that. So that's all I've got, guys. Good luck, and as always, bring them that bacon, guys. Peace.